Hello, world, and welcome to Band Together International. I'm your host, Joanne Francisco of 513 Entertainment.
When you're bringing everything with your eyes open wide to try and beat me down. Here I am, I'm gonna stand in all of my ground till you can see that those decisions that you make, they all matter to me. Everything that I've seen ain't not talking to me. All you know is what you're told, and despite everything that you see with your own eyes, the truth is there if you care yet open your eyes. You got no one else to blame. You see the news every day, and time's passing by. It's all the same, pointing fingers here and there, yeah, to get away from your.
Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Wayne Doyle, lead vocalist for Scarlet Rebels from South Wales. Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for joining today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. Really excited about doing the interview with you today. I've been listening to your music since I got a message from Philly Rock Radio, who also has an international bandwidth, to check you guys out, and I've been a huge fan ever since.
Oh, cool. That's good news. Thank you.
So it's great to have you here today. The other members of your band, just so that everybody is aware, is Gary Doyle on drums, Wayne Esmond on bass,
Yeah.
Jones lead guitar, and
Yeah.
Josh Townsend on guitar and keyboards.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So we'll just jump right in. Have a lot to cover, and so tell us a little bit about the formation of Scarlet Rebels.
Okay, so we were a band called Void. So there was myself, Gary, the drummer, and our bass player, Wayne, who were in a band called Void. We released a few albums, didn't really do much. So then we sort of mixed it up. We put some ads out to sort of meet some new musicians, really. And then we recruited Josh and Chris. And then it was actually like 2 years to the day that we're filming. We changed the name to Scarlet Rebels, and then started as what you are now. So it's been 2 years of it's been a good 2 years, I think, for us. Yeah.
Wow. So how did you meet and then choose the current lineup that you have now?
Well, like I said, so the main sort of thing of the band was already in place due to the band that we were in before.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a text message from Chris, who had seen an advert on Join My Band, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and he asked if the lead guitarist role was still going. So I said yes. So then I met him in like a Starbucks and had a chat with him about what we wanted to do and the way that we kind of wanted to work and that kind of thing. He took away some of our previous albums and just to have a listen to see whether it was something that you wanted to get involved with. And then roughly around the same time, Josh had texted as well from the same advert. So I met him as well. So then we all auditioned both of them, and we kind of decided that, we could make it work with the three guitars that we currently have. Is something I've always wanted to do. So yeah, all of us just clicked and we got on, and it was just one of those things, those kind of things that just magically fall into your lap, and it just worked. So we've just stuck with it, really. So
well, that's
it's
great.
been good, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So have you retained the majority of the fans that you had with Void and then added on it as you and Scarlet Rebels just, got a little bit
Yeah,
out
I
there.
think that, yeah, so the problem we had with being a band called Void is that there's about, like a band called Void gets born every day.
Hmm.
So there was so many bands with the name Void, and there was so many bands on Facebook that are called Void. There's so many bands on Spotify and Apple Music and
Right.
Google, all that kind of thing. So we were finding it difficult to sort of stick out, and we were doing, we were working our fingers to the bone, really, going on tours and stuff, and we couldn't understand why the response that we were getting when we were on the road wasn't correlating anything in terms of like numbers on our Facebook and numbers on our Twitter account and all this kind of thing. So it happened that somebody that saw us at a gig, and they just pointed out to us that it was almost impossible to find us on social media because of all the other bands called Void. So we just made the decision to change it. So I think at the time we had something like 1,500 Facebook likes and a few hundred Twitter followers and Instagram.
Right.
And then we changed the name of the band to Scarlet Rebels, and it's just gone through the roof since. So it's just because we wanted to have a band name that was unique,
Right.
and that you could find easily enough. Yeah. So since we changed it, I mean, we did have like a hardcore following, and obviously they've stuck with us. But since we've changed the name of the band, we've just become a lot more accessible in terms of how easy it is to find who we are.
Right.
So it's made a massive difference.
Oh yeah, it makes a big difference because you basically rebranded yourself, and now you're a standout individual rather than, like you said, being trapped in with a bunch of other bands with the same name. Because I'll be honest, I did a little bit of research, and you're right, it was very difficult to find the old information. So
yeah.
That was definitely a good strategy. Definitely paid off because your fan base now is up to like over 7,000, which is incredible. And I'm sure things are just going to keep building and building based on, all the reviews and things I've been reading. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So for people who aren't familiar with you, like, there's probably people in the US and, in other countries and stuff that haven't heard your music. How would you describe it?
So I'd like to think that we're like a songwriting band. I think we're like we're a rock band that writes songs. So we sort of will write a song, and then we will deliver that song through like a sort of classic rock medium. So I think one of the things that it was really important to me, because like when I grew up listening to people like Bruce Springsteen and Tom Petty, it was always about the song was more important than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So like, people label us as a rock band, and I totally agree with that. We are, but I think, we're not a rock band that would sacrifice a song to write, a really heavy riff or anything like that, so it's got to have that perfect blend, really. So I think we found that happy medium at the moment. So we're kind of in the mold of a Foo Fighter-y kind of rock band, but perhaps a bit more commercial, possibly.
Right.
Yeah.
But not that heavy constantly all the time. And because you have that diversity in your music that the people like. Sometimes people, I know myself, I listen to music constantly because of the business that I have. And, sometimes it's such a breath of fresh air to hear a band come in with a song, and then, the next thing that they release maybe is a single off the album, or once you listen deeper into the CDs and things, you start hearing this diversity in the band. And sometimes it's really a breath of fresh air. It gives you, a nice break between the hard driving, heavy guitar riffs and things like that. Something a little bit, and I'm not going to say soft or fluffy, but, just a little bit with the edge taken off. And I think it lends really well to your vocals. Like when I listened to your album, there was just so many songs. It's like, I liked that it wasn't as hard as maybe the one before, because it really showcased your voice, showcased the harmonies a lot that really stood out. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think, for me, that's always been important, really, is because, writing, putting an album on is meant to take you on a journey through,
Hmm.
and I know it's different now with streaming, that people will just pick one song and put it on a playlist. But I think we're still going to work to the medium that that 1 to 12 or whatever it is will that we've put that thought into it to say we'll start off rocky and then we'll gradually sort of in the middle slow it down a bit and then build it back up to to have something perhaps a bit slower at the end.
Hmm.
Yeah, so, and that's what I mean. It's like, it's just a thing of actually the way that we write songs. I mean, there's songs that are angry to do with some of the political situations that we find ourselves in over on this side of the country, of the world. Then
Hmm.
to songs that deal with bereavement and sort of mental health and all that kind of thing. So
Right.
so there's the first album particularly touches on a lot of it. So yeah, it's good that you noticed that, because not a lot of people will have delved that deep into it, to review it properly. Like so,
Right. Well,
yeah,
hopefully, if they're smart, they will, because I enjoyed every song on it. But by the way, congratulations on the release of Show Your Colors. Um,
thank you.
I was reading some of the reviews about it, and I take the reviews on this from radio stations and from different rock writers and things, and from fans really seriously, because it does paint a good picture of what you can expect when you're listening to somebody's new releases. And I loved with the one critic had said choruses that stick like glue, and everything about the album is a hit. And like you were saying, it's rare that people will take your whole album and put it on a playlist or put it on your iPod or whatever. But it seems that there's good indication that a lot more people will probably be doing this with your album, which is great, because then the whole album gets the playtime it deserved, rather than just a single or two.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you did have over 100,000 streams.
Uh-huh.
That's fantastic. What type of PR, and a lot of bands that members that could be listening to interviews like this, and this is one of the reasons why I do it, is to gain insight for people who are aspiring to do what Scarlet Rebels is doing. What kind of PR does it take to get 100,000 live streams? Like, what did you do that you feel could lend to that type of success, besides being
I,
awesome?
I genuinely don't know. Um, to be honest with you, it's not it's nice figures for us, but it's not massive in terms of what it is. But in terms of the amount of money that we've spent to promote the album, the first run sold out. The first physical run of albums sold out as well. So when we were just about to go on tour, um, we asked our label if we could have some, and they checked in the warehouse stock control thing that they keep, and they said we'd already run out. So
Oh
you
wow,
know, yeah, it's got yeah. So back to your original question. Sorry,
it's okay.
I don't really know. I mean, what we've done is, like I said, we slogged our guts up for years, for like 10, 15 years as Void, and nobody could find who we were. So the
Right.
minute we changed that and we started going out with Scarlet Rebels, we did our first gig at Scarlet Rebels, and the next day we had like 20, 30 Facebook likes and all this kind of thing, So
Right.
it's the first thing is about being accessible. I see bands that will name themselves band names with awkward spelling
Hmm.
and that kind of thing. And
Right.
it just, as clever as it might be, it just doesn't work. Not unless you've got hundreds of thousands of pounds to market it. It needs to
Right.
be, and it doesn't matter how random the whatever it is. If it makes up something unique, and you can get the URL sort of whatever it is .com,
Right.
and the Facebook URL where people can put that your band name in, and it comes up straight away. It just makes a massive difference.
Right.
And what we've done as well is that for the last 2 years since we changed the band name, we've travelled across the UK and into Europe as well, where we've literally just slogged our guts out in terms of gigging and
Right.
trying to get the band name out. So when I think we worked it to a point that when the album was about to drop, there was a little bit of anticipation in certain quarters for it. So, and then we've managed to keep it so that the amount of streams and that is, it got like the first couple of months it was like really high, the sort of the numbers we were getting, but then since it's kind of been kept constant. So
Right.
yeah, so it's really nice to see, that you're getting like that
Oh,
amount of
yeah, definitely. And the good
numbers, but
thing, good thing too is you're getting international airplay too.
yeah,
Radio
yeah, yeah,
stations, all around the U.S. and Europe right now seem to have pretty solid grip on Scarlet Rebels music, and they're playing it a lot. So,
yeah, yeah,
that definitely helps. And doing the extensive touring definitely, puts you out there. People like
yeah,
that tangibility. It's one thing to buy a record or to pull it off of Spotify or whatever, but to be able to actually have the experience of going to see the live band is, what people are really dying to do, especially right now.
yeah. No, I think it's right. I think there's like a new sort of scene which is happening. So it's certainly happening over in the UK where people are sort of shunning paying £150 to go and see, one of the massive bands, and they're rather into spend, 5, 6 to £10 perhaps to get into more of a grassroots show, and
Hmm.
then watch, a band at our level, and then you actually get to spend time with them after it. They can, people come and see us play live, and then they want to have photos and have their album signed and all this kind of thing. So I think there's a swell of people sort of going against the really expensive massive shows that are quite impersonal, and
Right.
then coming to see bands like ourselves and some of our peers, because you know it's easier access, and they get to
Right.
chat and to spend a little bit of time with the bands that they're following, which is, and like on our social media and stuff, it's, the band manager, so if somebody would tweet us or whatever, then it's always the band that are responding to it. So
Right.
yeah, it's nice. It's good. It's like I said, for the fact that we spent so long as Void and nobody knew who we were, and we've still got Void albums left over.
Right.
Considering then, we changed the band name and then released Show Your Colours, and they've all gone. And
Right.
it's had the response it's had. It's nice. We've worked hard for it. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, all your hard work's paying off. So that's a beautiful thing. So
Well, yeah.
yeah, I was reading that your band has received several awards. I believe they were all 2019, because I don't
Yeah.
know, what's going on. Um, do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Like, which was the one that really blew you guys away the most, or was the most unexpected?
Um, so we won, which was really random. We won the best hard rock single for the Banger Music Awards, which is like a different radio station in America, which is really random.
Right.
But we won a radio station, like an underground sort of, but a really popular radio station's band of the year last year. So it was, I think there was something like 30, 35, 40,000 votes cast, and there
Oh,
was a
wow.
short list of about 150 bands, and we came top of it. Yeah, so we won the Great Music Stories Band of the Year
That's awesome.
last year. Yeah, so it was
Wow.
it was good, because, like I said, the band is, Scarlet Rebels has only been really going like 2 years now. Show Your Colours was released in August last year,
Hmm.
and within that 6-month period, people had really gone from kind of, wondering what it was we were about to deliver to picking that award
Right.
up.
Sure.
And it was really humbling. It was nice. It's been good. Yeah. So we're currently sort of looking to, or we're going to be recording the follow up to it starting in September.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Yes.
I
So
look
we'll
forward
have a
to hearing that
new
too.
record.
We'll have to do
Yeah. So
a follow up on that.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we've got we'll have a new album out next year. But what we've done recently, and this is a bit of an exclusive as well, is we spent a day in a recording studio, and we did like 7 live tracks that were all from Show Your Colours, that were done just one take in a recording studio, and they came out really good. They were much better than I expected.
Mhm.
So I'm really trying to push us to be able to get that released as well. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, touch wood, that we can get that out this year.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, like an EP of live tracks. Yeah, so fingers crossed that'll come off. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, when you start your writing process, like, what do you talk content first, or who does most of the writing for the lyrics? Would that be you?
Yeah, I do it all. Yeah, I
Okay.
do all the lyrics. Yeah.
So I'll put this, based right, to you. When you sit down and you decide, that you're going to start writing, and you're ready to start, generating things for the latest albums, do you sit down with specific thoughts in your mind first, or like, do you have a content that you say, you know what, I think I want to write a song about, whatever, domestic violence or whatever? Do you do that first, or is it one of those things? Are you an idea person like me, where you'll be laying in bed and all of a sudden you just sit up with a piece of paper and a pen and start feverishly writing down, your thoughts about the latest, the next upcoming big hit for you?
Yeah, I think it's all of it, to be honest. For like some of the tracks that we wrote, there's a track on Show Your Colours called "You Take My Breath Away," and for this in particular track, we were jamming the sort of the music out, and we were putting it together as a track. And there was, it was the first time that we'd come up with this riff and this structure of a song. And as it came into the chorus, I literally just blurted out as it is on the track. You take my breath away, you steal the air from me. And then that kind of came the basis of the song then. So I wrote the sort of content of the song around the fact that this just literally dropped out of my mouth. I don't know where it came from. It just sort of fit the structure of the song. So
Right.
So then I kind of looked at it and I thought, I'd write it in terms of sort of like our sort of version of AC/DC's "You Shook Me All Night Long."
Mm-hmm.
So like, about like somebody finding somebody else really attractive and it taking their breath away. So, and then other songs, like said, I will literally be sitting at home or in bed, and then I'll have an idea for a lyric or something like that, and I'll get up and I'll just type it into my phone and save it for the next day. Or
Right.
or I will want to write about a specific subject matter. So like my grandmother passed away a couple of years ago, and that's where "Returning Light" from Show Your Colours that's what that is about. So
Beautiful.
so there's little things that I will want to write about, and I'll sort of put them down, and other things just come from nowhere. So it's a mix of everything. Yeah, I get a lot of that though, where something will just come into my mind, and like I said, I'll make a note on my phone, and then or a piece of paper, and then I'll go back to it later on, and then sort of formulate an idea around that certain lyric or sentence that I've sort of
Right.
it's just appeared in my
And
head.
then you
Yeah,
just
so
pull it on, and then you just pull it all together in the best way that it makes sense.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, I think when I was younger and I started songwriting, I didn't, the lyric content I'd never even, it didn't make any sort of thing to me really. I was just quite blasé about it because I wanted it to be more about, like a melody to stick in people's heads. But then I started to listen to like Bruce Springsteen and then Tom Petty, and a lot of my favorite songs of them would be actually with a lyric that would stand out and would just like resonate with me. So then I started to think, well, actually, if you've got something to say, maybe you should say it. And I think the more I've grown up, I think, it's really important. And certainly to me now, it's something that I literally hang everything on, that, what we put out is going to have some sort of lyrical content, which
Right.
is semi sort of adult and grown up. So yeah, you know, 100%. It just comes from anywhere and everywhere, really. And I don't ever like to take credit for it or whatever, because I don't know where it, you know, how or what it is. It just
Mhm.
sometimes happens, you know. So
That,
yeah,
that's great. Well, I don't know how. I mean, from other bands that I interview from in the UK and in the European market, they've been telling me that nothing's really starting to open back up yet for you guys as far as playing. Are you still kind of nothing?
nothing
Wow.
at all. Yeah, I mean, 'cause we're based in Wales as well,
Right.
so things have started to open up in England, but Wales is governed by a sort of different um, by our own I don't know, not government, but we're
Right.
governed by the Welsh Assembly, and they've been a lot more cautious than what it has been in England. So
Yeah.
things are even slower in Wales than they have been anywhere else in the UK.
Well, you
But
know
yeah,
what? I'll be honest with you. We had shut things down completely here, and no bars were open, no music anywhere. And about a month ago, they started to open us up gradually, state by state, and even down to our municipalities. And they started opening things back up again, and everybody went out and started being foolish and crazy. And now we're getting back to the point where everything's gone back on lockdown. And I don't know what,
yeah,
I'll be honest, I don't know what's worse. Having music for a little while and then rip right back out from underneath of you, or just waiting until the time is right and it's safe for you guys and safe for your fans. I don't know, it's tough. It's tough.
it it is, and I think it's really difficult. You know, there's no silver bullet with it in terms of the things that I'm reading about, um, that venues and live music sort of events have to put in place over here in order to make it feasible.
Right.
Things like, we're at the kind of level where we would normally be on a band, on a bill of bands, maybe 3 or 4 bands, to try and get as many people into a venue as possible.
Right.
And it's got to the point where the venues are so restricted to how many people you can come in, is that the bands will have slots that they can turn up to the venue in, because if all of the bands were in a venue at the same time, then that's pretty much the whole capacity of the venue,
Right.
taken up.
Right.
Because
Exactly.
yeah, and things like because when people are at a live music venue, or listening to live music, because the volume is so high,
Hmm.
people are shouting more
Right.
to try and hear each other, and it's like directions saying things like that the music has got to be quiet enough so that people can communicate without shouting at each other.
Right.
But that just doesn't work, like with a 5-piece band. So I really don't know how it's gonna, people are doing like online gigs and all that kind of thing, and that is, I
Yeah.
think, the way, certainly at our level, that it's gonna be for a while, because I don't know, I really am looking at it thinking it's gonna be tough,
Yeah.
and of course people's health is the most important thing, but
Right.
yeah, it's just one of those things. I
Not
mean,
easy
like,
for not easy for the musicians, that's for sure.
oh,
But
it's not
I mean,
easy for
one
anybody,
one
is it?
thing, you can always look forward to one thing is when the shows do start happening again and it's more back to normal than it is right now, or even what it could be in 4 or 5 months from now. Fans are going to come out in droves. I mean, the shows will probably be incredible. From the musicians' perspectives, and from your fans. I mean, you guys are going to be so glad to be back on stage again, doing what you love. It couldn't help but be a great show.
Yeah, I hope so, because
Oh yeah.
I think, I think that that's the one thing that I think that has got people through the fact, through being locked down, is everybody has turned to, the arts,
Right.
so like you've got people who have delved into music and delved into film and, things to pass the time.
Right.
And yet that seems to be the one avenue where people will on every day, you know, before all this kind of stuff happened. That was the one avenue where people took for granted, actually, you know, really, when you strip it all back, and
Right.
rather than, you know, paying, you know, 99 pence for a song, they'd, you know, sort of stream it for free or stream films for free.
Right.
But they're happy to pay, like, you know, £5 for a cup of coffee, which is gone. You know, I think.
Right.
Do you understand what I mean? You know,
I totally.
you know, the one thing that separates people from being animals is you know, is the arts, the fact that, you know, people can make music and appreciate and all, and film and all that kind of thing, and it's the first thing that people seem to take for granted and want to have for free, you know.
Right.
And that is the one thing that people have been desperate for during lockdown is, I would love to go to a gig, I would love to be, you know, in a field watching a festival or watching films to pass the time and all this kind of thing, and yet that's the one thing which seems to suffer the most.
Right.
And any other, do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I do.
I hope people do, you know, support, you know, their live music venues and their local venues and stuff, because it's going to be a real struggle when it, you know, well, it is now. So hopefully we can get through it and then start again, and people will actually think, you know, we've missed 6 months of going to gigs. Let's do it all, you know. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
Yeah, I think once things get back up to some kind of normalcy again, I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm totally ready, and I know that the people that I go to shows with, we're all ready. We've been ready for shows, and we've been ready for venues to open back up again. So I know there's a heck of a lot more people out there like us that are looking forward to it. And in the meantime, you know, that's why it's important for everybody to have their merch, you know, because once it gets up and running again, you know, sell those hard copies, sell those vinyls. You know, people want that. They want something tangible.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but it's the young people that want to try to stream everything for free these days. Drives me crazy.
Yeah, no, I understand, and you know, I do totally understand why. I mean, it's just one of those things, isn't it? You know, that is the way that it's gone. But yeah, I mean, you know, we can't complain because, like I said, people have put their hands in their pockets and supported us massively.
Right. Right.
I don't mean it as a slur, but I just think that now more than ever, you know, people have been, you know, desperate for new content from their favorite bands, and you've had, you know, bands all over the world doing like acoustic versions of things because they can't get content out, because they can't, you know, unless you're living in you know, within a house with a massive recording studio or whatever. It's been difficult to deliver that content. So yeah, you know, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? You know, but I just think it's important that those things that separate, you know, things from being, you know, a good night out to being a great night out, and having a live band.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's important, and it feeds the soul as well. You know, it does. You know, people can. You know, it does make a massive difference to people's livelihoods and well-being and mental state. You know, that being able to, you know, communicate on that level of just pure, you know. So I hope it does get back as soon as it can, because it's, like I said, it's important for people's well-beings as well, you know.
Definitely. Hey, the quarantine video you did for Take Your Breath Away.
Yeah.
Was that fans, family, and friends that you had in your video? That was awesome. Yeah. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So we were due to release the single, and we'd put like a casting call out, not casting call, but like a call out to see if anybody wanted to direct the video, to make the video with us, and we had a few responses from people who made music videos, and then we were chatting with them, and then obviously the lockdown happened, and we were like, okay, so the single is due out in a few weeks and we don't have a video for it. So then we just put it on our Facebook and Twitter and that for people to send in clips of what they were doing during lockdown.
Right.
And luckily enough, the weather was good at the time, so a lot of people were just in their gardens getting drunk, and then would just send us a clip and that. So it was good. Yeah, I mean, it was quite surprising actually that so many people did send clips on that in. So it was
Yeah.
yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. I enjoyed that. It's a lot of people have been doing that. A lot of musicians are doing that now. And it's awesome because the great thing that I find about that is a lot of times a band will put a quarantine video out and I've never heard them before. And it turns out, I'll go out and I'll be like, wow, that's really awesome. And I may be friends with one of the band members. Next thing I know, I'm out on Facebook, I'm out on their website, and I think I found 3 or 4 bands like that this year to
Yeah.
interview. And it's awesome because it's just opening the world's eyes up to music that, if you're in a certain geography, you may never hear. So so it's definitely fun and it's beneficial for the bands too. So I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So do you feel that, that the relationship that you have with your band, do you feel like you're more of a brotherhood? And is that what makes you so popular to your fans? Does that cohesiveness and the personalities melding so well together on stage, do you think that lends to your success with your live shows?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you have to have some sort of understanding with the people that you're traveling around the country with, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
You get get tired and hungry and thirsty and
Right.
grouchy, and so you need
Yeah.
to be able to get on a personal level, and
Right.
there needs to be a lot of give and take. But yeah, we get on really well, and we've got a good blend as well, I think. So yeah, I think so. I'd like to think that people can tell, the difference between it being real and not. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because sometimes you just can't tell, but there's other times where you can just watch a band on stage and you just know.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just know. Um, so for people who haven't seen a Scarlet Rebel show, High Energy.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I I read a comment and I was really hoping that I was going to have one other person from your band on today so that they could tell a story for me, because I
Okay.
cracked up when I somebody had said that you get lost in the moment on stage, and I was going to ask, all right, somebody tell me a story. What does that mean? You just get
As it,
so into your music when you're singing, you just
who, me?
yeah.
Yeah, I got a, I got a tendency to, I think it depends what sort of song we're doing really, but yeah, it's quite part. I wear my heart on my sleeve a lot of the time. So
Right.
if I'm doing one of the songs that, one of our emotional songs or whatever, I think you can kind of tell, that it's coming from somewhere real.
Right.
And I'm Welsh as well, so we're passionate as well. So but to be honest with you, I don't think that's any different from any other member of the band. I know
Right.
Chris is very entertaining. He gets really into his guitar playing, and Gary as a drummer is, he's like a powerhouse as well. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think I have a tendency to close my eyes and just get totally lost in it, and then a lot of the time I can't actually pick out. A lot of the shows that we've done all just meld into one, because you just turn into into a performing, into your performance self, and then it just
Sure.
before you know it, it's over and it's done with, and it's like okay, and you know when sometimes you're just on autopilot and you drive home, and then you're just home and you just didn't even realize that you've driven home, that kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like, how
And
did I get
yeah, so, yeah, exactly, yeah, and then it's just like
there?
you just go into this whole sort of performance-ish sort of thing. Yeah. So I am thing for getting lost in it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it's nice to see as well, because it doesn't come across as fake. So
Oh, absolutely not. So, who would you consider? I always like to find out a little bit about the personalities with the bands. Who would you consider as the glue? Who's the glue? Who's the
the,
person who keeps it all together?
in the band,
Yeah.
Gary probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
And there's
the,
usually one person that everybody kind of
I
depends
think I
on.
think yeah, I think we've all got our roles. So say like I'm probably the spokesman, the boss, pretty much, the one that
Right.
will do the majority of the things like this and organizing stuff with our management and label. That falls to me. Gary is the drummer and the one that sort of, like I said, he's the one that probably holds us all together,
Mhm.
because everybody can approach him and moan about me. Or Wayne, the bass player, is the happy drunk stroke cynical one when he's sober. Chris, our lead guitarist, is an excitable puppy who is just loves everything we do, and Josh is just really cool and laid back. So yeah, so I'd say Gary, because I think Gary's the one that they all go to, and he's the sort of sensible one, who
Right.
will sort of put everybody in their place. I think.
Gotcha.
So
So
yeah,
you've been like you were saying earlier, you guys did a lot of touring.
yeah.
I noticed you opened up for some pretty heavy hitters. You opened for Skid Row, Uriah Heep, Choir Boys. If you yourself, and you don't have to, it doesn't have to be the band's total opinion, but what would your dream show look like?
Oh wow, dream show. It depends on how long I've got.
Right, exactly. Well, put it this way: if you were to um, get one phone call that would excite you more than anything, that you would be working with that band, whether it's double bill or whatever, um,
um,
who would you want it to be?
for me personally, it would be Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. Um, Probably for the whole band, though, it would be like the Foo Fighters, because I think like I'm massively into Bruce Springsteen. Our bass player is massively into like David Bowie and Tom Petty.
Hmm.
Our drummers into like Metallica and the Red Hot Chili Peppers and things like that.
Right.
Chris is massively into um, Guns N' Roses and AC/DC, and then Josh is into things like Radiohead and the Strokes. But we all love the Foo Fighters, so we've all got like a really diverse range within the
Ew.
same sort of genre, within the same genre.
Right.
But we all sort of love the Foo Fighters. So in terms of the band, I'd say the Foo Fighters probably. Yeah.
Well, if you like Bruce Springsteen, I'm only right over, hop, skip, and a jump over the bridge from where he grew up.
Was
I'm
it New
probably,
Jersey?
probably about an hour and a half away from where I live.
Wow.
Yeah, this is kind of Springsteen country around here.
Yeah, that's one of my. That's one of my. I've been to see Bruce all over the UK and into Europe as well. But I would love to see him, do like a hometown show
Oh,
in the
great.
Giant Stadium. Though, yeah,
Oh yeah. One of the
I can
bands
imagine.
that I work with, that I'm actually interviewing tomorrow, they won they won as the opening act contest to open for Bon Jovi in their hometown, and it was amazing. It was.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, they're good at that. Bon Jovi. They've done a lot of that for bands all over America and the UK as well. They've done it as well. Yeah, where they've just had like local bands opening for them. To be fair to them, yeah. I used to, I love Bon Jovi as well. I'm not so keen on the more recent stuff though. So their
Yeah,
old
I like
stuff
the
is
older stuff.
is is brilliant. Yeah.
Well, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. We're about out of our allotted time for our call. But I wanted to thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I'm, really, really happy to have been tuned into you guys, and I really look forward to hearing next things that you have coming out. I do want to let people know that, they can find your music on Spotify for purchase, your videos on YouTube, for your merch, for tour updates, and any updates relative to your band. They can find you on your website at scarletrebels.com.
Mhm.
Anything else you want to add to that to let people know where you are, or did I cover it all?
No, that's pretty much it. So just Google Scarlet Rebels and we'll be there in some some shape or form. And thank you as well for your time as well. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And one more thing before you go, I always like to end my interviews with a little game. And since it's only you and
Okay.
me on this one, this will be easier on you.
Okay.
Don't overthink it. I'm not gonna ask a full question. I'm gonna say 2 words. You pick one
Okay.
or the other. Okay? Okay. Lyrics or music? I already know.
Lyrics.
Tour or studio?
Studio.
And music of the 80s or the 90s?
Oh.
That's usually a
80s.
80s.
Yeah, 80s, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Great.
good 80s, though, not the bloated, the
No,
over bloated 80s towards the end. The good 80s, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you once again very much for taking your time to talk to me. Tell the rest of the guys I wish them well. And
Thank you
hopefully
very
one of
much.
these days I will be across the pond to come hear all my favorite bands that I've been meeting and hope to catch one of your shows.
Yeah, cool, man. Thank you. Well, we'll hopefully be in touch when we got some new music for you to listen to as well. So.
Absolutely. That would be fantastic. I'd be happy to share it.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Yeah, and you. Thank you. Take care.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.